Hello everyone, my name is Moji, and you're watching Bitcoin Bubble News Channel. Yeah, if you compare the prices of most assets to this drop, the SP has been going up about 8% a year since 2012, which is just enough to keep your head above water. Bitcoin has gone up 150%, but the Nasdaq has gone up about 17%. And if you compare Nasdaq to Bitcoin, Nasdaq is down 99.97%. In other words, it does make your money very useful. But this debasement is a real problem since most things can't keep up. That's right. We won't have a huge debt blow-up because of the moving. What will happen is that all of our buying power will keep going down. Weon recently did an interview with Rubble that gives us a look into his thoughts on current market trends, such as why prices are falling and what makes the US dollar so strong. Pal also looks into what happens when a currency loses value and what Bitcoin's place is in this changing world. As we talk about this, Bitcoin was selling at around $59,000, showing a 1% drop in the last 24 hours, but an 8% rise in the last 7 days, giving it a total supply of 19.74%. Do not go further, you do not have time. Don't miss the bull run in 2025. Learn as much as you can before everyone else. We've put together the best step-by-step crypto cheat guide to help you through this bull run. Find out what crypto is all about and start investing smarter right away. Now, click on the link below to get your special copy for a little less than $10. That's why the numbers in ETFs are affected by two. Net flows, or people who play the futures market unfairly, are called arbitrageurs. We don't know what that flow was. Then, they would sell the futures that were worth more than the ETF and then buy the ETF. We don't know what kind of flow it was, but let's say it was net inflows since yesterday Binance also saw record inflows. I think that the teaching that Michael Saylor, and everyone else has been doing has helped people start to understand the game. Larry Fink has even talked about the game. The game is losing your purchasing power, but not through normal CPI inflation. Instead, it's through this more dangerous idea of debasement. I believe that people now know and understand that this type of stock is very risky. Folks are beginning to understand that I buy sell-offs if they happen, as I said at the start of the show. Over the years, that same approach has also worked very well in the Nasdaq. You have a big, long-term trend. Any wobbles are usually a sign that you should buy. When you buy in crypto assets, you should expect them to go up and down. I've invested for a long time, and most years I've seen 2, 3, or even 4 30% dips. This one has been 27% in Bitcoin. It fits pretty well into the standard range. And you should think about what the big things that affect crypto are: the business cycle, or where is the economy? Things are slowly getting better, inflation is going down, rates are going to go down, and more money will come into the market. This is usually a very good time for crypto. The wind is now behind you. Another question is whether or not people are using the technology. Is it being used to build something? And that's still going on. When big events like the ones in the news lately happen, you usually think they will only last for a short time. And yes, you might be worried if the economy felt a little less stable and the business cycle was getting old. But this is still early in the cycle, and you should expect instability in general. I've always dealt with it by making you look forward to it, which is a Jedi mind trick. You can buy more when it happens, and your earnings will grow over time. Much better than anyone who does nothing or tries to trade around it. You should think of these sales as gifts that make you think, wow, if I can find a little more cash, I can put it into the market. When you use that approach, you tend to do really well over the cycle. In this case, it's not usually the change in interest rates. So what if your rate goes from 10 basis points to 25 basis points? No one cares, right? The yen move was what it really was, because you have to pay back. When the yen starts to move around a lot, you borrow it. Then that makes you worry the yen went up a lot. All of a sudden, the amount of yen you borrowed has become more valuable. In this case, everyone lowers their risk. The real story is that the Bank of Japan started to play the currency market because their own currency was too weak. They sold dollars and bought their own currency. Where all the people who borrowed yen went, oh my God, all of a sudden I am getting a good deal on borrow, but the yen is changing by 2% every day and I am losing a lot of money. At a bank or hedge fund, a risk manager will tell traders they need to close their accounts or lower their risk. What the last 4 days were really about was someone being tapped on the shoulder by the risk manager and told, listen, you're losing money on this side, you need to start lowering risk. That's why crypto, the Nasdaq, mining stocks, oil, and any other risk gets hit. These, on the other hand, don't last long because the market gets used to the change and people get out of their positions. Things then go back to normal. and these twitches, which I call macrospasms, don't last long. Could it last a week? Could it last 3 or 2? That's possible. 2016 was a lot like 2015. The dollar was really strong. The world economy moved very slowly. Because the dollar was so strong, trade around the world had slowed down. The Japanese then stepped in and changed their currency. Every market went up in flames. The exact same process. However, after that, the central bank began to stimulate, especially the Chinese, who had been waiting for this chance to do so. The Europeans and the UK the last time, I think the Chinese will be the ones to stir this time. Their currency was too weak, and they didn't want to lose control of it, so they couldn't cut interest rates or make monetary policy more loose. That's why they got to boost. But since the dollar has lost value, they can do more. In the end, I think it's probably a good thing. Simply wait a few weeks and it should be very good. As we just heard, Roll Pal talks about the market and how he sees it, focusing on the link between the US dollar and Bitcoin. He talks about Bitcoin's potential as a hedge against devaluation and how important it is to understand cash flows and how they affect future market trends, especially for cryptocurrencies. Pal says that when central banks lower interest rates and make money available, it makes things better for Bitcoin and other digital assets. From this point of view, it's easier to see how Bitcoin can help keep the economy stable when things are unsure. Let's hear more from Robopol about how Bitcoin could change the market right now. All of these big blockchains will likely be worth many trillions of dollars because they can be used for many things. There are whole networks that you can use to build other businesses. Although these are very useful, the apps that use them haven't been made yet. I agree with everything you said. Things aren't going to keep going in this loop. I think this space will grow from 21,024 to 11024 by 2032 or 2034. I want to talk about what I just said again. $2 trillion to $100 trillion in 10 years, say. That will be the fastest and biggest buildup of wealth in the history of the world. That's twice as much money as the S&P 500 has made in 100 years. Because of this, that's what you should remember as an investment. How can I make the most money and stay in this job for as long as possible? If I asked anyone again, would you have bought NASDAQ in 1990, they would all say yes. Yes, of course everyone would. Here it is 1990, not 1999, 1990. Yes, you go. That's where we are now, with the NASDAQ in the mid-1990s. Think about how much money the tech boom made during that time. This is going to be much bigger than that. I believe it's not really important since the US dollar is the world's main currency. The US does not need to keep other goods on hand. Even though it has gold in it, that's because it used to be based on gold. People in other countries don't need it because their own currencies need funds to back them up. Would they do it now? It sounds flashy to me. I'm not sure why. Let us say, though, that they do. Let's say I'm wrong and they do build something. What a strange world we live in. Of course, it's good for the crypto market that there's now another buyer. Bitcoin was created to try to take over money from the government, which is also strange. Now, you add the government as one of the biggest buyers of private money. That's not something I like, but it's probably good for the price of crypto.